I'll be running the town.
Okay, I'm gonna call the Marlboro Board of Selectmen special meeting for Wednesday, March 11th, 2026 to order. Seated are Susan McFarland, Louise Alcadello, Joseph Aspar, Anthony Brown, John Rizzo. Also present is town manager David Porter. We have a one item agenda this evening to discuss the budget. I guess I can pause. Is there anybody who would like to make a public comment before we jump in? State your name and address for the record, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Thank you.
I'm Elaine Adams, and my husband, were you gonna come up, Rob?
Yeah.
And my husband, Robert Wall, we lived in Marlboro at 17 James Lane for just over 4 months. But during that time, we visited 3 other senior centers in the surrounding areas, including Hebron, Colchester, and East Hampton. We have observed that they have 4 to 6 staff members supporting their programs and services, whereas Marlboro has only one, Shoshana Merced, who serves in multiple roles, Director of Human Services, Social Services, and Municipal Agent for the Elderly. That is a significant responsibility for one person. Providing part-time assistance would help ensure that Marlboro senior citizens continue to receive the support and services they rely on. It is also a practical and cost-effective way to strengthen services for an important and growing population in our community. Therefore, I urge you to approve the budget proposal, which includes a part-time assistant to the senior center. Thank you for your cooperation and your service to Marlboro.
Thank you.
I'm Robert Wall, her husband, 17 James Lane. I'd just like to make a couple points about this issue in support of the assistant for the senior center. We were there at the senior center a few days ago, just to drop off registration for a program. Shoshana was in a meeting as part of her job with an individual in a private meeting. So we had to wait 15, 20 minutes or so, just hanging around, just to hand in registration, something that an assistant would normally easily take care of. So I think that would be a very effective way. I also want to make a point that, as I'm sure most of you are aware, no matter how ambitious an individual is in a particular position, once they become overwhelmed, there's the issue of burnout. And I think that we are setting ourselves up for that possibility in looking at only having one person in that position, no help whatsoever, and she's trying to fill multiple roles. Because the most disruptive thing to the services would be, should that occur, Shoshana reached a point that she becomes, burned out, and then you have to replace her with somebody else. That's one of the most disruptive things can happen in any employee organization. So I think she does a wonderful job, and I'm going to support her having that assistant that I think is badly needed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Anybody else? Go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Chemerinsky, 220 North Main Street, right down the street. As a longtime resident of Marlboro for over 43 years, I'm here to speak in support of AHM, Youth and Family Services, a wonderful organization serving Andover, Hebron, Marlboro, and now Columbia Youth and Family since 1983. Medical services, including mental health, youth prevention programs such as suicide, alcohol, drugs, others, youth enrichment, parent and family therapy and training, and other services noted in the Connecticut statute have never been more important than they are today. My wife Jane and I raised our 2 daughters in Marlboro, both attending Marlboro Elementary, Hebron Middle School, and RAM. 2 of our grandchildren, 2 of our 4, currently attend Marlboro Pre-K and 2nd grade. As a resident and taxpayer, I am grateful for our town leadership, and our community for your continued support and financial support for AHM and the life-changing services and programs that AHM provides to Marlboro children and families. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. There's a hand online. Go ahead, Bill.
Yep. Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Will Guzman. I live on Cheney Road. And for the record, I am a member of the Board of Finance, and I am speaking as an individual. Just before I begin, I just want to provide a little context on myself. I've spent about 20 years working in finance, including roles as a controller with Stanley Black & Decker. And I was recruited from college into the financial leadership program at UTC. And today I serve as the finance director for a growing company. And in these roles, my focus has always been on financial transparency, accurate reporting, and making decisions supported by clear data. First, I would like to thank the Board of Selectmen for one, posting these recordings of your meetings on the town website. These videos have been super helpful during the budget cycle, in particular this budget cycle, and have provided me a context that has at times just been a little bit difficult to obtain through the materials and presentations provided to the Board of Finance. So I do want to express some concern with the level of clarity, detail, and justification provided by the town manager in support of this year's proposed budget. The Board of Finance has a responsibility to review these requests on behalf of the taxpayers, and that requires clear and transparent information. Part of the town manager's role in the budget process is to present a proposal that is accurate, well supported, and detailed enough for the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance to properly evaluate it. During the review of the proposed budget, there have been instances where information lacked sufficient detail or contained errors. And in some cases, just questions were met with responses suggesting certain details were not necessary for the Board of Finance to review. At this point, the Board of Finance has not made any formal recommendations regarding adjustments to the budget. However, when and if recommendations are made, they will be made on the issues identified during the review, particularly where justification or supporting detail for proposed increases has been limited. Ultimately, this is about ensuring the budgeting process is transparent and that residents of Marlboro can have confidence that their tax dollars are being carefully reviewed and allocated. I appreciate the work that you and the Board of Selectmen are doing and hope that moving forward we can strengthen the level of communication and detail in the budget process. So both boards are working from the same clear set of information. Thanks.
So I have a follow-up question for you. Can you highlight for us the particular line items or areas of the budget where you still have questions or need additional information to give us a heads up now?
Yeah, I appreciate that question. We had a review with the town manager in our last meeting, which was last Wednesday, and we went through the budget proposed that you guys received on the 17th of February. We kind of went through line by line. I have an assessment of where there is, which is why where there could be opportunity. Again, the changes that we're going to have to make are going to boil down to prioritization on behalf of you and the town manager, because we need to be careful in terms of, one, not only bonding in the future. We have several large projects in our foreview, such as the school and firehouse, but not only that, infrastructure needs. So there are questions that we asked, that we raised, but in terms of providing the Board of Finance the same set of data that you have, it would be helpful in the future to receive the same line item budget that you guys received on the 17th. That includes capital as well. So that way we can ask pointed questions to the town manager in terms of priority and justification to support such increases.
Okay,
But
and just one,
Mhm.
go ahead, please finish.
These meetings that are posted online have been helpful in terms of getting that information as well. I've attended a few online where I can't make the meeting. I've sat through on YouTube through the recordings that are posted on the town website to get that detail and context. But in the future, we would like to have for just purposes of review, the history behind such accounts, the volatility around such accounts, and sharp and pointed justification around increases into the years.
Okay. The other thing I was going to add is, I don't know if you guys saw, we just did a training on ClearGov, where now we can all move to your point, so that we're all singing off the same sheet of music. Everything is in ClearGov. So if we all use that system, there should be no discrepancy. There's one master set of data. So I don't know if you guys saw that session, but it was recorded. So you have the opportunity to view it too, so that we can all work off the same document.
We appreciate that. The level of the file that we're asking for is the file that you received on the 17th. The ClearGov website is helpful, but having a consolidated file for the budget would be more helpful.
So I'm assuming you mean let's see, it's a 1, 2, 3, 4-page line by line, the town operations breakdown. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes.
Sorry, it's 5 pages. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Thank you for your comments. Appreciate it. We'll see if we can't remedy the gaps here. Any other public comments before we continue? All right. So we'll move to our next agenda item, which is just to talk about the budget. Personally, I do actually have a hard stop tonight, and also don't feel fantastic. So I would love if we could focus our discussion on where we think there are opportunities to reduce the budget. And David, since you talked with all the department leaders and put it together, maybe we can start with your recommendations and go from there, rather than doing another 4-hour line by line. Not that we won't do that if we have to, but
I'm ready.
but maybe you can start with priorities.
Sure. So the operating budget by and large is very tight. I think that if any of you were to visit other senior centers, other town halls, you would find that Marlborough provides a robust set of services with a very skeletal staff compared with many other towns. And that's fine. We are a small community. We have a small tax base. But when you start talking about cutting this line or that line, you certainly can, as long as it is not something that is mandated by the state. But cuts pretty quickly will be felt. I mean, there's not a lot of fluff in the budget. Where we can have some impact on that front is just a prioritization around the capital improvement program, where we could say, okay, for some of these projects, maybe we break it up into 2 phases and we do it over 2 budget cycles, or we postpone this until next year. It doesn't necessarily mean that it shouldn't be done, but maybe it can wait, one more year so that we can soften that blow. And then on the operating side, there are 4 proposals around personnel, and it may get to the point where you need to make some hard decisions around whether whether the final budget that you send off to the Board of Finance includes all of those, or just 3 of those, or just 2 of those, or because that is also kind of another lever that you can pull to reduce the budget.
So let's talk about capital. So we got a couple new data points. I'm gonna jump to building maintenance. So you said we got another quote for roof replacement, which, because the first one is so outrageous, we were like, oh my God, this is not enough money. And now we have a second quote that says the 50,000 for town hall roof replacement is in the right ballpark. And then for the food bank exterior painting, I think we said we could drop that potentially to 20K. We don't have firm estimates, but based on data, we think. Is that correct?
That is correct. So I did get one more estimate for the roof replacement that was, I don't have it right in front of me, but it was high 40s.
Okay.
So it was a little under 50. And I have another contractor coming out on Friday morning to give us another estimate. So
Okay.
so that should we can kind of zero in on that figure a little bit more closely. And then I have not yet had a chance to get estimates for the food bank exterior painting, but since the food bank is housed in a house, it's not even a commercial building. I think that I think that 20,000 is adequate to paint that house.
Okay. And then the dry tank sensor fill system replacement, you were talking about maybe we didn't have to do that because we were looking at moving to propane. I think you were going to talk to the facilities director.
Yes, and I still need to have that conversation with him. I've been pulled in a lot of different directions, but what the question that I would like to ask, and John is a consummate professional. He is just absolutely fantastic. What the question I would like to pose is, if we are doing a significant HVAC upgrade, and at least when I read through the Antonazzi report, part of that was switching from heating oil to propane, or a combination of electric air conditioning or heat pumps and propane for the coldest part of the winter. So if we will only be using heating oil for one more year, or maybe, depending on the timing of the project, 2, then would there be a possibility of making the current admittedly imperfect system, kind of nursing it along, as opposed to spending $20,000 on something that is going to be replaced as part of the larger project anyway?
Okay. All right. So we need to get that data from John then.
I have one question out there. Maybe was there a good study done, oil versus propane, on the number of BTUs, the cost of BTUs that we get? Is there any data on that? Did anybody research that? Again, oil on this hand and propane on that hand, and the cost difference between the two, because propane comes from oil. Is there any data on that?
Not that I have seen, and I don't think that the analysis that you're describing was part of the scope of Antonazzi's report.
So the reason to go to propane, if there's advantages, or why is there a tendency of going toward propane versus oil? What is the real reason?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I think that I mean, obviously the price of all types of fuels fluctuates. This week was a reminder that sometimes they can fluctuate very significantly.
Yeah.
But I think that we know it is true of oil. I suspect that it is also true of propane and other fuels as well.
But there is no, but as of this time, there is no data supporting propane or supporting oil one way or the other.
There is not, but my sense is that there are far more new systems going in, both in residential homes and in commercial properties that use propane or natural gas as opposed to oil. I mean, that new oil systems certainly exist. I don't mean to suggest otherwise, but I think that they account for a relatively small share of the market.
Yeah, what happens sometimes, just real quick, is that that we take the ability to deliver natural gas, which is in pipes, and the cost for that, versus someone filling a truck, and every time we call it touches, every time you touch it, there's a cost involved. So propane has an awful lot of handlings. Sitting natural gas only has a pipe in the road. So it is that which is cost effective. I'm sorry, folks. Thank you, okay.
It's a busy afternoon. So, David, what I would ask is when you speak to John, since we don't know what the future heating proposal is gonna be for the school, maybe
Yeah.
just ask like, can we live for one more year and see if we can't at least delay this?
Okay,
And maybe in a year, we'll know better which direction the school's going in, to Joe's point.
I will certainly ask that, yes.
Thank you. We had increased single axle dump truck to 225 based on what we think the actual price of the truck is gonna be. And then, David, what is the current, under other, where we're bringing down the speed camera money? We had 195 in here as a placeholder. You said it was higher than that at this point?
For the single axle dump truck,
But
Oh,
I mean, the speed camera money that we can allocate.
It was like 212.
it was 212, and we can update that I can get updated figures through the end of February.
Okay,
I believe that was through the end of January. Now, it's going to be a little bit higher than that, but don't hold your breath for a really big number because the number of tickets we're issuing, thankfully, has gone way down.
If the citizens want to help pay for their truck speed on North Main.
okay.
Well, I mean, almost all of the revenue from that camera has been from non-residents.
Right.
Only a tiny fraction has been Marlboro residents. So,
So can we talk about, the Public Works roof replacement? I know we don't have quotes yet, but how desperate is that? And you also said it was a lot of different sections, sort of, it's not just one big contiguous roof. Is that something that we could split and do in phases?
I think so. It has kind of been cobbled together. There are different sections that are made of different materials. You know, some is asphalt shingles, some is like a rubber roof, and so what I think that we could do is postpone that for a year. You know, put a placeholder of maybe $40,000 in the column for 2028, and then use that time to go out and explore the possibility of finding a partner who would like to put solar panels on top of the Public Works garage and see if they would be interested in paying for the roof in exchange for leasing back that square footage for their solar panels. And that might be a way to get the roof without burdening taxpayers at all.
Okay.
And if we explore that and it doesn't work out, then we can, you know, have this discussion a year from now when we're producing the 28 budget.
Okay.
It's not leaking, right?
It is not currently leaking. There was a section that was leaking a few months ago and we had that patched, so it is not currently leaking.
Is there anything else on capital where there's the potential? Or we need to move on?
I think we need to, I don't see a lot else. I mean, we really do need the truck replacements.
Yep. Culvert.
The culvert.
Okay. So then you mentioned the staffing, so, I'm looking at the 5-page detail. Can you bring us to the 5 lines where the personnel are?
So I don't think that the personnel is on that sheet.
In this one here, the details?
No.
If you may recall, I gave you a separate personnel sheet with the expectation that that we were going to put it all in ClearGov, which we have now done. But so, and if you would like, I can print this off for you. So if you can be forgiven if you can't put your finger on what we discussed a few weeks ago. But the 4 additions were the market pay adjustment for the director, and that was $15,908. The part-time senior center assistant, and that was $26,310. Then there was the public works cleaner / maintainer, and the total cost, including benefits, was $72,715, but the net impact was $42,865 because we said that we were going to have that person clean the buildings and collect the trash that we currently contract with All Waste to pick up. So the net impact on the budget was $42,865. And then the 4th was in like a town hall assistant in my office. And we talked about a number of things that person could help with, including improving our procurement process. And also, I think one of them was also providing assistance to the fire marshal and also facilitating a transition that we know will come despite our best efforts with respect to the town planner. That we're going to hang on to him for as long as we can. He will choose to retire at some point, and so that this individual would be used to facilitate a smooth transfer. And what we did there was we said, including benefits, the all-in cost there would be $91,592, but we would combine that position and have that individual serve as the sexton. And so after we offset what we are currently spending on the sexton, the net impact to the budget would be $38,144.
That's for a full-time sexton or part-time sexton?
No, part-time.
Yes.
So if you had to rack and stack those, I think we collectively as a board, had put the senior center as our #1 priority. What about the others?
Yes.
To shove.
So I strongly support and I agree that both of the senior center ones should be the highest priority. I think that we could probably, I think that there is some transition happening in our public works department right now. And so we could, if push came to shove, we could probably shelf the cleaner maintainer position, sort of maintain something closer to the status quo there, figure out what we're doing with respect to a new public works supervisor, and then with the help of that person, figure out how they want to organize the team beneath them.
Sounds good.
Sounds like a reasonable approach. Will there be any savings with hiring a new public works as opposed to a tenured public works individual? Again, I
don't
look in the one ads.
I don't anticipate significant savings because this is for a position that requires experience. So I would anticipate it being a lateral hire, and so that they're not going to be coming in at entry level wages.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
Alright. So I know that you said that the town operations was tight, but I know Anthony's got ideas too, so let's go there. Anthony, do you have specific line items you wanna jump to?
I mean, the legal fees, never gone above. It's cheap, like 32K, so
Can
can
you
we,
tell us what's higher in, please? What page at least?
the first page,
Okay, oh, yep, right under town council, got it.
53,150. I mean, if we could knock that down to 30. That'd be 5,000 in savings. We just don't get sued.
Well, and it's not too far off, like the max of the last 3 years.
Yeah, more in line with what's in the last
And
minus.
Are there any contracts coming up next year? Are there any
Good
contracts?
question.
Are they all done?
There are none that are coming up next year.
Perfect, okay.
So could we even go lower? Food for thought.
I mean, I wouldn't, we could go down to 30. I wouldn't go any lower than that just because, you know, there are things like cell phone tower land lease agreements. I mean, even if we don't get sued, even if we don't, you know, have that, there are always things that we need.
I'm not saying zero, I'm just like,
Yeah.
let's try to get it.
No, I commend you, I commend you for, you know, doing your duty, but I would really caution against going too much lower.
For the next one down, appointed personnel, so 52,045 compensated absences down to 45K. Do we expect that to be 45K, or are we more in line with like the 35, 36?
So compensated absences are kind of this challenging thing that auditors have started paying more attention. There's a new GASB rule that basically says that you are supposed to budget for, you know, you're supposed to calculate the payout for everyone who you think might retire that year, or who is eligible to retire that year. So if they're eligible for accrued but unused sick time or vacation time, and when they walk out that door, they get that lump sum, then you're supposed to budget for that. What I would like to do, and I was talking the other day with Tony, our new finance director, about this, is sort of setting up a fund, you know, and we fund it there, and then especially when there is a surplus in other lines, we can kind of top it off. But that way, if we put money in there and it turns out that someone didn't retire this year, then we don't have to keep budgeting for it.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm fine with that, but have we looked at the positions who's eligible for?
Yes, we have.
How many on this list are eligible for retirement?
There are 3, and they are all long tenured employees who not only have accrued significant, accrued leave banks, but who were also hired prior to a particular date where they are allowed, and in fact have been promised, more payouts at higher levels than employees hired after that.
So is the 45,000 a calculation for those 3 people or a placeholder?
That's what I'm getting.
It's a calculation.
So I have, but David, within this budget that we're doing now, are there any new contracts that we will have to speak to with either with hopefully with small increases? Are there any contracts coming up during this time period?
I mean, there are the increases in the salaries and wages are what was negotiated in the contract, a year ago.
Correct.
But the contract, which is now, we're now a year into a 4-year contract. So
the existing ones are 4 years.
the existing ones for everyone except Public Works are 4 years. The Public Works only wanted to do 3 years at a time.
Okay,
The others are 4.
okay, good. So it becomes a null point on this budget, then renegotiating the contract.
That's right. None of them are up for
Okay.
negotiation in this
Yeah,
budget.
good, thank you.
I don't know about you guys. I get nervous when I see like a bunch of zeros after numbers, just because it means that we're just guessing of what we're gonna spend next year rather than like going out and getting actual quotes for things. So like for on a lot of these lines, educational dues and expenses, like do we have classes in mind that we've already priced out, or saying, hey, we want to go spend $5,000 in classes the next year? Or
Which,
6,500. So pick anyone that says educational dues and expenses. So for under the assessors, for example.
yes, so I know that he has, a specific class that I, have asked him to take to prepare for an exam to get a more advanced certification around commercial properties.
And where are you?
Yeah, where are we?
On
what
finance
page?
office, restaurant operating.
Yeah.
Educational, that's what it's
So
doing.
that was under the assessors.
Yeah.
I'm
So
going
it's
off
on
the
Okay.
the latest.
Yeah, now I see it. Okay.
Educational, I got it.
Although the,
31 down.
What was the, what's that?
You put in $1,200.
550220. And that's not necessarily like targeted towards this, but that's like a global comment throughout for any of these that say educational dues and expenses. Like what do we have planned for all of these? So like town clerk, there's $800.
so the 6,500 is for mapping services.
Well, 1,200, sorry.
Okay, yeah, the 1,200 is for educational dues.
And then town manager has 3,000 set. $3,000 allocated for next year.
Yes, I think that is for, memberships in professional organizations and a few, some years I have not gone since coming to Marlboro, but there is, a national conference of city managers that is very beneficial that I have gone to in the past, but I have not for the past couple of years.
Well, I'm all for professional development, but I think we're just gonna have to prioritize. Pick the ones that are most critical for town operations, and a couple others might just have to wait till the following year. So maybe you can talk with the department leaders and just make some hard choices about what's really important for this period and what could potentially wait until the next one. I have a question about probate. It seems to vary wildly. Well, 9,000, 9,000, 13,000, 0. Year-to-date actual against a budget of 11,000, and then it's up 10% for the proposed to 12,400. Is there something driving that? Can we just hold it flat since we didn't spend it this year?
Well, so the probate court is shared by 4 communities.
Yeah.
It is located here in Marlboro in rented space down on Austin Drive. We do produce the budget and then, and so I have the backup in detail. I worked with the probate judge to produce that budget.
Mm-hmm.
And then based on the, grand list of each town, we allocate the amount that each town pays. Of the 4, even though it's located here in Marlboro, we are the smallest percentage of that budget. The reason that it went way up that one year was because they needed to expand their space. And so they rented additional space, and that space needed to be renovated and prepared for long-term file storage. And then, so there was kind of a very significant one-time cost that year when it went up. And then you will notice that it came back down, kind of much closer in line with the longer-term trend.
So is there something specific that we think is gonna drive it from up 10% from 26 to 27? Or can we knock that back?
We cannot knock that back.
What's driving that cost? Is it taxes on the property or something else?
I think that it is rental fees for the additional square footage is the primary cost.
The next one I had was the senior center programs and activities. Asking for 100% increase. I mean, I'm probably gonna yell at for this one, but senior center is getting a lot of love this budget season. Can we do 7,000, 8,000 instead of 12? Still bump them up a little bit to do more, to attract more people in.
So I mean, yes, you can do whatever you decide to do. It is the Board of Selectmen's budget. But I think that if you look at the programs and activities budgets for nearby senior centers, that even 12,000 would be on the low end.
I get that, but I pay taxes here. I don't pay taxes there.
And let's, again, we're showing love, so, you know, let's dial it back a little bit. If they've got 6,000 this year and we go to 9,000, that's a 50% increase. That's not nothing. It's a 50% increase, and hopefully we can find grant opportunities too, maybe get them a little bit something else. But I agree, again, everybody's paying too much for everything right now, and I think it's our responsibility to find somewhere. We can all argue that we love every single line item in here, but we have to pay for it.
I don't know, their internet is not good, but
What did you say?
their internet budget, I would say, I wouldn't put any love towards that. But that's a contract we have, right?
Internet?
That
Yeah,
is
for the senior
correct,
center,
and
yeah.
I too am frustrated by it. But we do not have any.
Well,
What's the
next
duration
time
of that
next time
contract?
the contract's up, let's, we can rebid. See if we can't do better.
Sometimes they come down.
And then, the Commission on Aging events, the 1,500, I know you guys wanted that for your survey, if I remember correctly. You want to do like a survey?
We do want to do a survey, but I don't think that was under in the budget.
Okay.
Or did you put it in the?
I think it was the.
Because I asked for it, thank you.
Commission on Aging.
Okay,
Can we
thank you.
use flash vote or something else to say $1,500 to, again, just for another year?
Or you guys took a lot of my money on that fruit roulette. If you do that on Marble Day, I'll donate to that.
Can I comment on the flash vote?
Yeah.
The flash vote is only people that have signed up who are technologically savvy, who, you know, you'll not get the people who don't come to the senior center, you don't know why they don't. Not getting at the real, root of the problem. It's not $1,000.
I'd rather put the $1,500 to programs than a survey, sorry. You know, like, do the stuff. Have the survey be a sheet of paper for people who do walk in the building, and I know it's not everybody, you try to reach new people, but it's a lot of money for not a program. I'd rather take it out of there than put it back in the other one. Personally. And we don't know what our marching orders are from Board of Finance yet, so we might have to do more than this. So I want to go to, let's see, where is it? One of these vehicle maintenance items was a huge increase. Large dollar increases. There it is. It's under Public Works. There's a vehicle maintenance line item. The actuals over the year, 34,000, 60,000, 31,000, year-to-date 25, against a budget of 50 for this year, and we're proposing 50 again next year. Is there any data behind that? Can we just, even if we just dial back 45, it seems huge compared to the prior years. And we're also buying a brand new, 2 new trucks.
the two new trucks undoubtedly will help. I mean, the reason that it is as high as it is because we have a very old fleet. I mean, of our dump trucks, the newest truck is from 2020. So that's
Yep.
already coming up on 6 years. We have another one that is 20 years old. And it's all fine and well until you get 15 or 18 inches of snow. And then you have one or two of your trucks that won't start or
I
that
get
break
it.
down the middle of the storm. So it's,
But there's another line item, a few lines up for equipment maintenance and repair, which also historically was 17,000, 21,000, 14,000. It's got a $27,000 budget and another 27. So, that's $77,000 between those two line items. So I'm just asking for us to, cut a little bit. Especially since we're gonna buy two new trucks. Even shaving 5,000 off one of those line items. Again, based on historical spend, it looks like we can do that without crippling public works. And again, I'm just looking at the data for 23, 24, 25. That's what's in front of me. But it seems like we could save a little bit, cut back a little bit.
on the vehicle maintenance line item, it looks like 1 year we spent $60,000 and they're not calling Petters here, but is the 31,000 year to date?
No, 31 is the actual, 25 is the year to date, the fourth column. Again, I'm not saying take away the 50K, I'm saying make it 45. The 60 is the outlier. I mean, if we want to use that logic, then I can say, well, let's go to 31. And I'm not asking for that. I'm just asking to shave 5K. Again, we can all support every single line item on here, but we still have to pay for it.
Yeah, a quick question. Were these numbers generated by yourself or with you in the town foreman? How did we come to the numbers that we have in front of us?
These were they were arrived at in a series of meetings between me, a member of the finance department. It was before Tony started, so Karen sat in on the meetings and we looked at prior years going even further back than what are on these sheets, and then lengthy conversations and debates with each of the department heads. So in the case of Public Works, it was with the foreman. In the case of the assessor's office, it was the assessor, obviously, et cetera.
I'm gonna keep going on Public Works here, and now I'm down to, or well, right below it, tree warden, tree removal. So again, actuals, 89,000, 78,000, 46,000, 104 against a budget of 115, and we got another 110, which is like taking the worst case of the last 4 years. Can we shave 10,000 off of that and set a budget of 100,000? That still seems like an awful lot. If we don't have pre-contracts, again, it's certainly covers the average of the last 4 years at 100 versus 110.
So this last year, we had most of that money is to proactively, to bring in a tree company for 2 or 3 days a month and engage in preventative maintenance to cut down at-risk trees so that we don't get trees falling on power lines or blocking roads at night. And the significant investments that we have made for the last several years have resulted in meaningful improvements on that front. And so this last year, primarily due to weather, we were unable to bring in the tree company for as many days as we would have liked. But it really is up to you. I mean, we're probably a little bit less than halfway through sort of the town and all of the roads in terms of addressing the highest risk trees, those that are most likely to fall down. I don't think that that's a very good place to cut the budget, but if you want to cut it by $10,000, then You know, the trade-off is that we can't cut down as many at-risk trees this year.
I think to Susan's point, we're not trying to remove the line item, just like, let's prioritize which trees are the worst. Let's go tackle those for a set amount of money and then. focus
I'm
on
not saying zero it out. I'm saying instead of 110,000, go to 100. That's above the average that we've spent over the last 4 years. That is not, you know, it's not outrageous, I don't think. I think it's reasonable. It allows us, to your point, to continue working on what has been deemed highest risk. And again, you know, depending on what the Board of Finance says, and frankly, depending on what the taxpayers say at referendum, we might have a lot more work to do. I'm looking for opportunities to save. And I'm trying to go to line items with a lot of money on them, because if it's $100 line item, it's, you know, not gonna amount to more than a hill of beans. Anybody got any other thoughts, suggestions?
Can we take a look at elections operating? That's on page 2.
If we need a new machine list. Did you say there was
Yeah.
new machines mandated by the state?
Yes.
Okay. This, under office supplies. Well, she's got under, there's 2, there's office supplies and then there's election supplies. And then there is, my topic is, they bring in food. Now, I understand the day of the election, okay, they're there at 5 a.m. until 10 at night. I understand that. But for early voting, the 7 days or the 14 days, they're still bringing in food and the town's paying for it. So I have a question on that. Roughly, I looked at the last all-day voting day and it was $700 for that 1 week. It's a lot of money.
Mhm.
You know, so it's a thought. I mean, I think everybody that goes to work today brings their own lunch. I don't think the employer pays them or brings in food. Especially today with the cost of food. It's crazy.
Is that under election supplies?
Election supplies, is that
So
what?
it's in one of those, kind of hidden in here, it doesn't say, you know, food, but it's in one of those lines, I don't know how they hid it in there, but it's in there.
I can look at the backup. I'm guessing it's in election supplies, but I can look at that.
Okay. Yeah, cause it's
Um,
a big number.
I mean,
From
what,
8 to 16,
It's 100% increase.
it's worth looking at it. I understand the day of the election, you know,
Yeah,
because some
long
people
day.
can't bring food in for the whole day. Yeah.
I stopped by on 2 days with food.
Huh?
Myself. I brought food.
You brought food.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's
I'm still waiting to be reimbursed.
You gotta wait long.
I won't sign.
Moving on.
I know. I've done that too, John.
okay, I have taken a note to look at that.
Take a note.
Thank you, Dave.
And are all the workers paid the, like, same rate? Like the registrars are paid a certain rate and then the assistant and going down the line? Or are there differences in pay?
There are small differences in pay, like I think that and I'm trying to remember what the proper term is, but the person who oversees the room,
Okay,
who requires a little bit more training.
yeah,
And the others, the moderator gets paid slightly more than the other workers, but none of them get paid a lot. I mean, they're sort of one step ahead of volunteers.
volunteers, there is no volunteers, they all get paid.
I know, but no one who is working at the polls is making a lot of money.
Okay. Can you check that out, the
It's
salary, when all the people working there? Can you look at that?
absolutely, yeah,
Yeah, look at that.
you bet. I can look at it, but I think that it also comes down to, you need a certain number of people to
Yes.
do it.
Yeah.
We're required by law to have that certain number of people for either 7 days before a primary or 14 days.
I know,
And
I work
you,
there.
you need to pay enough that people are willing to do that. I mean, and go to the training. And then, I mean, it's a lot to ask of people to come every day for 14 days.
Let's go, let's go. Can we go to some heavy hitters? I want to go back onto, planning and building and contracted services, which you told us was, shared with Bolton, but that's up 1,000%. So where's the savings somewhere else? Can you show me where that 85,000 is offset, or help me understand how we can save some of it? Because that's huge.
Well, first I need to find where that is.
It's the top of the second page.
Okay,
So it's under land use operating. And it's the third line item on the second page, contracted services. I have a note from our previous discussion that it was shared with Bolton. Our actuals were 0, 0, 17,000, 10,000, approved budget 7, and now it's going to 85. So
yes. So there are two things driving that. First, the savings is not on this sheet. It's in the personnel budget because the building official used to be a part-time person on the town's payroll.
yeah,
And now it's a contracted service. We pay either quarterly or biannual invoices to Bolton, but they are on Bolton's payroll. The other reason that is going up so much is that we received an RPIP grant to regionalize that function. In the first year, the grant pays 75%. In the second year, it pays 50%. In the third year, it pays 25%. And then the fourth year, it expires. It goes down to 0. So in addition to it being represented here for the first time, we are actually responsible for a larger part of that service than we were last year. It went from 75% grant to 50% grant.
I hear everything you're saying, but I still don't get that. The math isn't mathing. 17,000, 10,000, 7,000, 85.
Yeah.
That sounds like 100%, not the,
Okay.
you know, the
Of the
75,
75 is the building official that was 0 on this line item before. So it's basically going,
$75,000. Is that one thing?
yes. That is the person who does plan reviews. That is the person who goes out and does inspections for, I mean, it's a state mandated role. It requires a not insignificant amount of training. I mean,
Okay.
Sue, could the record show that I believe we have a bad crash on Route 2?
Yep, thanks, Joe.
Yeah, I'll
Appreciate
get
it.
back as soon as I can.
Thank you, Joseph.
Good luck. Or 2 more minutes.
What's your hard stop? Sue, what's your hard stop?
I got about 20 more minutes.
Okay.
Go ahead, Anthony. You got others?
Right, yeah. The fire marshal personnel budget jumping up 10K.
yes.
You picked a fine time to ask.
I was waiting for him to leave.
He'll watch the
I'm
video.
gonna tell him to watch this video.
Yeah, that's right.
Which page are you on?
I mean, it's different. I'm looking at like this one.
Are you looking at the, I'm looking at the same one as isn't getting the same page. So
That
fire
one was
department,
towards the end.
what are you looking at, what line?
Fire marshal personnel, so fire commissioner,
Fire
it's
commissioner.
51,196.
Yeah.
Fire department.
Oh, yeah, it went up 55%.
Yes.
Okay. What's the-
So
Yeah.
historically, the fire marshal was paid significantly more. You know, the annual stipend was more than it currently is. And for a time, this is going back even further, the fire marshal was also allowed to to participate in the town health insurance. Today, that is not true. The fire marshal does not receive town health insurance. And several years ago, before I started, but not long before I started, the fire marshal's annual stipend was cut very, very significantly. Like, I think that in order to realistically, get everything done that state law requires. You know, all of the inspections for anything other than single family residential requires inspections depending on the type of property. It's either every year, every 2 years, every 3 years. I think that there are a few. I don't think that we have very many of them, but that might be every 4 years. But the fire marshal, in addition to investigating fires, and doing plan reviews for new construction, also has to do all of these inspections all around town. And so I think that whether it is, you know, increasing the stipend so that the fire marshal, you know, feels like he's adequately compensated for the time he spends, or using that money to pay a deputy fire marshal to do some of that work, to conduct some of those inspections. I think that we need to budget appropriately and frankly in line with, you know, on a per capita basis or per, you know, get the property list, which I have now, and say, okay, for the number of properties and inspections, let's figure out what an appropriate number is. And the number that I proposed is getting us a lot closer. I could have gone higher than that, but I think that
So wait a second, is the stipend set by the charter?
no,
The stipend is set by us?
yes.
Are building inspections paid for by people putting in building permits?
No.
I mean, they do pay a fee to the town, but it doesn't go to the fire marshal, I think is what you're saying, Dave.
So
Part of
part of the fee, it partially offsets the cost, but it does not cover the full cost of the building official or the fire marshal. And keep in mind that, you know, someone comes in and gets a building permit, the building, that's a one-time thing, then the building goes up and the fire marshal has to go back every year or every 2 years. Well, some towns do charge a fee for inspections.
Right.
Most do not, we do not. You know, you can decide if you want to, but
Maybe we need to.
the work still needs to be done. And
So in 2026, the approved budget was 18,000. We've only spent 1,800 to date. So is it possible that 2027 we can set 18 and we can look at a policy to charge a fee? You know, based on the type and complexity of the property and how much time is required to do an appropriate inspection, if that's what other towns do, maybe we benchmark other towns.
we can certainly benchmark other towns. The only ones that I have heard of charging a fee for annual or biannual inspections are significantly larger than us, and they charge them only to very large industrial or commercial properties. I mean, think like Amazon warehouses in South Windsor.
Mhm.
You know, that's the sort of property and place where towns are charging a fee for that service. You can do it, but I think that, you know, if we take action like that and then, you know, turn around and say, we want to be business friendly, we'd like, you know, new businesses to move in and, you know, our downtown to be vibrant, then we're sending the wrong message if we are one of the only small towns that charges an annual fee for that inspection.
So if we've only expended 1,800 to date against a budget of 18,000, can we cut the following year's budget? We haven't spent much.
What that probably means is that the annual stipend has not been paid yet. That doesn't mean that
But that's only a few grand.
Yeah.
So can the 28 be cut to 20?
I would strongly recommend against that. Just because we do need some help from the deputy fire marshals and others to get our inspection program and records, you know, where they need to be.
Is the deputy fire marshal a paid position or a stipend position?
It is a paid hourly position.
How many hours a week dedicated to this?
It is not a set schedule. It is basically what the fire marshal works out with them. And so far this year, the deputy fire marshal has not worked very many hours at all. I think that going forward, that should change.
Well, maybe we should table this then until Joe is here and can inform us.
Yes.
I'll second that. Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Might get a little more insight. Joe's.
And then under contracted services, professional engineering. For the 85 that we've allocated for next year, like what are the projects that we're going to get done for that? Is that the Jones Hollow, or is that like the grants that we just submitted? If we win those grants, that's part of it.
Yeah, those projects are the ones that are listed on the 5-year capital improvement plan in years 2, 3, and 4. That's kind of what we're working on in part, so that not only are we ready to do it, but the lot SIP and low SIP grants and STEEP. And then there's also the community connectivity grants, which have funded a lot of the new sidewalks. Those do not typically cover engineering costs. And in fact, as part of the application, you have to do the engineering in advance so that they know that the project is shovel ready. And when they award you the money, you're ready to go. So that engineering is getting those projects ready and then applying for grant funding for future years.
Anthony, you got any other big ones that you want to get?
Favorite topic, the library. I mean, we don't really get to see what those line items are, the breakdown. We're just like hand them a lump sum. I know Aubrey sent over like a list of what is being increased. I don't guess on those email. I'm curious to see if there's like a breakdown. Can we get something like this? Like where the money's going, or do we FOIA that from their board?
I really don't think that you need to FOIA it. Aubrey is on there. So if she would like to,
so I mean, my suggestion,
and I'm confident that she can provide that information.
But my suggestion is like we're going from 446 to 462, and I understand there are increases in salary, and it's only like a 3% increase, but a 3% at these numbers is pretty significant.
Yeah.
Could you get by with 450, 455, something like that? I'm just curious.
That's 3% instead of a 3.5.
Yeah.
I think it's a question we have to ask. Again, we don't know what
I don't know what I don't know.
what the Board of Finance is going to challenge us with either, so. The 0.5% here actually means something, whereas most of the other line items, it means nothing.
Aubrey, I did see that you unmuted yourself, but I still can't go. There you are.
Hi, sorry. Okay, yes, I'm on both my phone and my computer because my webcam's not working. Yes, I can certainly get you a breakdown. The one thing I do want to mention is that we actually just found out, well, we knew there's going to be a new federal law that we have to get our website ADA compliant. And so we are actually looking at many thousands of dollars to update our website to get it compliant. So, I mean, I'm already panicking right now about our budget not having enough money for next fiscal year. So I really ask that you not cut us, because as it is, we're going to have to try to cut things to come up with money to get our website compliant by April 2027 to meet the new federal law. But I can certainly get you a breakdown, the same one that my board gets of our expenses and stuff.
Okay. I just know, I mean, we're going to have to go through and cut things too, right? I don't want to highlight Deb's sentiment of where like we get a fixed budget and we have to work within it, but we should try to do our best to cut things where there's a lot of wants. Yeah. Let's work on the needs.
Yes.
And I'm just calling you out because you are a large part of this budget. I do love the library. I love what you guys do.
May I ask a question?
But I also just want to say that the quote that we were given to get our website ADA compliant is $14,000. Whether or not I can get something cheaper, I have to do more research and stuff, but that money isn't even factored into next year's budget. We're already going to be scrambling to try to get
What's the
money
compliance
somewhere.
deadline, Aubrey? By when are we
April
required to be in compliance?
April what?
April 2027. And it goes by the size of your community. So for Marlboro, because we're a smaller town, it's April 2027. So the town is going to have to do the same thing with their website as well.
Yep, we talked about that at one of our last meetings.
So if I may, Aubrey, how many employees do you have in the library? How many on your payroll? It's not like 200 people.
I believe there's 14 of us total, which includes our bookkeeper as well. And they all vary in hours. I have 2 full-timers, but my part-timers vary. Some only do a few hours a week. I think I want a substitute, so she's not there. She's maybe there like once a month. The hours, the hours for the position are all over the place.
Thank you.
And it's primarily because it's a public service, so we have to make sure the desk is, covered. So.
Thank you.
Yep.
I mean, those are just the ones I wanted to touch upon.
What?
Those are just the ones I wanted to touch upon.
All right, so there's a few things that we've highlighted that we need a little bit more data on. So let's see if we can't get that. And then hopefully between that and whatever feedback we get from the Board of Finance, we'll come back to it.
The one other question I have, so if we're gonna go away with the cleaner maintainer for this budget cycle, the custodial will have to go back in. Can we shop around for quotes on, and we get something that we actually
Are happy with?
happy with?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Maybe cheaper, I don't know. One of those
Worth the
things, we
bid.
can only pick 2, but
worth a bid.
yeah.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Anything else for today?
You hit everything I had.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Anybody else from the public want to make another comment? Go ahead.
Well, not another, it's my first. Peggy Galvin, Gabriel, I'm 59 Gabriel. So first of all, I want to thank you for your support for increasing Trishana's compensation. It is very much needed, and for your support for a part-time help for her. I would also sort of note, I don't know, this is just off the senior center. It seems that electric costs an awful lot in this town. So for instance, Parks and Senior both use the same building, and it's now $1,200 a month average for electricity. And they're not even there really on the weekends and the like. I'm not sure why our electric bills are so high. This building has a high electric bill as well. Anyway, regarding to the senior center, and the senior bill, is the $1,500 for the survey fungible? In other words, if we don't do the survey, can we use it for other operating expenses? That's one question I would have. Because as I think you've been told, we're having a 25th anniversary of the senior center in September. We need money. We need to have, and we hope that that will also increase the visibility of the senior center. We sort of have a catch-22 here. We're going to hire an assistant for Shoshana. We have had zero budget pretty much for very minimal budget for many years because nothing was happening. And COVID also stopped a lot from happening. Okay, but now we're trying to get more for a growing population. She's going to have an assistant, but she doesn't have money to offer programs. Right. So then you say, well, why don't you increase your membership? Why isn't it increased? Well, because, we can't offer programs for them. One option is we have to charge residents to use the facilities, but I will tell you that other towns charge very, very little for non-residents to pay to use their senior center, and they have an awful lot more to pay off. Colchester has a beautiful senior center. So the problem with, sort of this catch-22 is you cut the budget and then you wonder why we're not increasing our activity. So I would rather, but I'm the chair of Commission on Aging. I'm just one person. But I would rather, although Shoshana did say senior centers are supposed to survey periodically. And I will also tell you that I offered to do the analysis on the survey. And I'm fully qualified. I have a PhD in economics and statistics. That's something I taught. I'm fully qualified. That's not what other towns get, right? East Hampton just did one and they spent quite a bit of money on the survey. So we do need to survey again. If you're not offering what people want and what people need, you're still not going to increase your participation in the senior center. We're a growing population and you will have to acknowledge that as the percentage of this town, we're growing. So we're going to need more money. So I get you have to cut money different places, but I just hope that you would reconsider cutting. But if you're going to cut, I would say if as long as the survey is fungible, that should be a lower priority, at least for now, but that's my opinion. But I want to make sure it's fungible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comments?
I just have a question about public, the Park and Rec and the Senior Center both have a line item for electrical
Yeah.
and facility operation. Do they divide them up between the two just from a budget standpoint?
I don't know, David, can you answer that?
The park, the senior is for that building itself, even though Ray has an office, the park is for, lights in Bush Park,
That
the bathrooms.
Gotcha.
Things like that.
outside of that.
Outside.
Good question. Go ahead.
Yes, Mike Chemerinsky, 220 North Main Street. For transparency, not only am I a resident, I'm the current vice president of the board of directors for HM, incoming president in July. I've got to know this organization very well. The reason I joined even, I signed my granddaughter up for a theater program, which was, I thought, awesome. She was, I think, 5 years old at the time. And as she was in the class, all the parents typically leave, but I decided to go meet Tressa, the executive director. I've been involved in a lot of boards in Glastonbury area. I wanted to serve more in my own community. And I stopped in to learn more. I knew about AHM. I supported them through our small business, but I just wanted to catch up and find out what they were doing now. And she shared, and I asked her one simple question: what's your biggest challenge? And she talked me through. They were in the middle of an expansion project. There was so much need for clinical services that they needed to expand their program. They worked with the Harvard Foundation of Giving in a very collaborative manner. I told her I want to join the board. I know I can help. I've been very focused on various elements. One in particular is with the risk to grants at the state and federal level. There needs to be even more focus to fundraising. A big portion of funding, a little over 40%, comes from the town consortiums and over here in Marlboro. But a big portion also comes from grants and also comes from donors and also sponsors. And I've been focused over the past year developing new sponsorship packages as well. We now have what's called an impact sponsorship that sponsors the core, the mission of AHM. So we don't take the town funding lightly. We are aggressively pursuing other funding. I just wanted to briefly chat, and this will probably be up. The River East reported inaccurate financial data recently in an article. It stated that AHM had only expended an actual expenditure of $109,699 out of the town's funding of $219,399, exactly 50%. That was inaccurately reported. They misread the town's financials. The town pays in 2 installments. The data that the reporter looked at was after the first installment. And so I just want to clarify that actually hurt from AHM to see that that's been released, and now the public or the taxpayers are reading that article. So hopefully they will address that. I just ask that we're working hard and we're taking some challenges. There's going to be another town oversight meeting on March 27th. David, you have that. You have this information that Trust also shared, the 8 elements of the Connecticut state statute, and how AHM supports every element. AHM is an amazing organization. The work they do is really heartfelt. And I just asked the town, when you're digging in and passing on the information to the Board of Finance, they need every dollar, and we're going after all the rest. And I know personally, I'm doing everything I can to help them get the funds that they need. So thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah, I just wanted to interject, following up on Mike said, there's a crisis in our country with mental health. Typically, I'll get upset because it's a part of my family. There's a difficulty trying to find adequate help for kids from the age of whatever to 30 something. And I think I can only speak as one member of the board, but the job you guys do is phenomenal.
We can't speak to everything that is done. There's some HIPAA, but there are times that HM needs to go into action at any moment. Dealing with a crisis, all you have to do is just talk to the schools and the families that have been hit and impacted with some really significant issues. HM is there every time. Their team is absolutely amazing. So thank you. I appreciate the being involved in this process. Very interesting.
And thank you for your time and effort with
Are there efforts for like outreach and education? Because like for me, not familiar with HM, the only news I get is I look at a line and I'm like, oh my God, it's big.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what you guys actually do and provide, is there an effort for that to like let the populace know the resources that are available to them?
Absolutely. There's you walk into AHM, they have materials that cover every aspect of their programs and services. They also have programs for parents and families to help train them in therapy beyond their clinical services. There are just I'm
assuming that's like at AHM, but like is as your kids go through school, are those resources available?
I'm sorry, I gotta stop you guys. I have somewhere else to be, and so I want to make sure that we stick on agenda. And I have been a personal supporter of AHM for many years too, even though I don't use their services, so I appreciate the work that you do. But again, we have unlimited wants and limited resources. Is there any other public comment before we close the meeting? Okay, I'm going to motion to adjourn at 5:23 p.m. Can I have a second? Second by Louise. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, that's 4-0 because Joe is no longer here. Thank you for attending. See you next time.